Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Today, we're going to talk about Avalanche and its native token AVAX. If you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and also check out the Telegram channel, which you can find a link to in the description below. Remember to check out the ITC Avalanche Stake Pool. You can find that at staking.intothecryptoverse.com/avalanche if you want to learn how to earn interest on your Avalanche coins. If you're wondering why the camera looks a little weird, it's because my other camera is currently not working. So for those who thought the production quality of my videos could not get worse, surprise, surprise, here we are. So I'm using the internal camera on my laptop. Let's go ahead and jump in. So AVAX has actually been doing really well recently, and a lot of different layer ones have. But one of the reasons I was wanting to talk about Avalanche is because, you know, it's been putting in the higher weekly closes than it's ever done before. Okay, I mean, if you essentially ignore this one wick that took us up to, say, $62, we have been putting in new all-time highs for the last several weeks. If you want to include that wick, we still were able to put in a new all-time high at around $67 or so. Probably depends on the exchange you use. But regardless, Avalanche has come out swinging, and my guess is on the back it's on the back of the $180 million DeFi incentive that they gave to get people to use the platform. But I would say when we talk about these altcoins, one of the things we always need to remember is their performance, as always, is tied to Bitcoin. Okay, and what we've noticed is that projects like Avalanche and others, they've done really well while Bitcoin's been above the 20-week, and they've gained on Bitcoin over the last several weeks, okay? And, you know, one of the things we've always said is that a lot of altcoins will move against Bitcoin once Bitcoin's above the 20-week, right? Get Bitcoin above the 20-week, and then they move. First opened by Bitcoin above the 20-week was August 9th, and you will see that August 9th is right here. That's when the Avalanche, when AVAX really started to move against Bitcoin. You can see that it did 18% in the first week, a very modest 122% in the second week. This is against Bitcoin, by the way. And in the third week, 10%, followed by -4, followed by 38. So Avalanche has been doing exceptionally well, especially given the fact that Bitcoin has pulled back substantially over the last week or two. Okay, I mean, Bitcoin's pulled all the way back from 53K, but it hasn't stopped Avalanche from continuing to do fairly well. Again, if you don't count this wick, it's at new price levels it hasn't really hit ever before the last few weeks, other than the single wick that happened back in early February. Now, what are some areas to watch? Okay, because everyone always wants to know, so what are some price areas to watch in the event of a Bitcoin pullback? Or what if Bitcoin continues to hold the line? Now, Bitcoin right now is only marginally above the bull market support band. So I'm not sure how strong altcoins are going to be if it continues to stay at these levels, but technically speaking, it is still above the 20-week. If we were to get at the 20-week or even the 21-week EMA, which we're not that far above, I would speculate that the strength that tokens like Avalanche might show might not be as strong against Bitcoin while we go through that somewhat grueling phase. But I do ultimately think that you know, there are certain projects that I do believe will stand the test of time and do quite well. And I do think Avalanche is one of them. Now, to get an idea of some areas to maybe watch, Avalanche USD, the bull market support band is coming in between $25 to $30. So for us to go back to those levels, my guess is that Bitcoin would have to go below the 20-week. Because you're talking about, at this point in the short term, you're talking about a 40 to 50% drop. And again, Bitcoin's only, you know, 5 to 10% above the bull market support band. So a 5 to 10% pullback by Bitcoin should not cause a 50% pullback by AVAX, right? What would cause us to go to those levels would probably be Bitcoin having to go below the bull market support band. And at that point, you know, the entire market is going to see a pullback. In the event that Bitcoin, say, rallies back up to 48K or something and does not immediately spend time at the 20-week SMA or the 21-week EMA, then we might want to go look at the AVAX Bitcoin valuation and then the AVAX Ether valuation. Ether has not been putting in new all-time highs, okay? but some layer ones have, some of what some might call its competition. I mean, I still think Ethereum is the best. That's going to stand no matter what altcoin project I talk about. Ethereum, in my opinion, is the best, but that doesn't mean there's not room for other projects to fill a need. For AVAX to get back to its prior all-time high against Ethereum, which we know is possible since it made it there before, it would actually have to go up 183%. That seems kind of ridiculous, right? I mean, it seems kind of ridiculous because for a constant Ether, a 183% move by AVAX would actually put it at around $150. Now, that might seem absurd. And I agree, the likelihood of that happening in the short term is very, very unlikely. But then you also look at projects like Solana, which went up 10x over the last couple of months. And you realize, while these things don't really seem that probable, it is possible that it happens if Bitcoin kind of just continues to stay 10 to 20% above the 20-week. Right now, in the current weeks, obviously, there's been a lot more fear with Bitcoin. And I think that we really need to prove that we can hold the line. Okay, so what we would watch, I think, for Avalanche is if Bitcoin tests the 20-week SMA and ends up holding it as support, then and if it starts to move up from there, the Bitcoin dominance will likely go up, and you might see projects like AVAX lag behind a little bit in terms of their Bitcoin valuation. But then when Bitcoin finishes whatever run it's going on, then you'll normally see these other projects take off again. Okay, so for me, Avalanche is just something I have a position in. I'm staking it. Again, check out the Avalanche ITC Stake Pool. There's directions on how to earn interest. You can earn up to 10% APY. So make sure you guys check that out. Mine's just locked up, right? My Avalanche is just locked up until May of 2022, for better or for worse. I talk about lengthening cycles a lot. So I guess, putting my money where my mouth is. But yeah, it's locked up until May of 2022. And, sometimes with these layer ones, you have Ethereum, you have a lot of the other projects we talk about on the channel. There's Avalanche, there's Cardano, there's Polkadot. We just mentioned Solana. There's a number of others as well. Sometimes the thing to do is have a position in them. I guess it's not financial advice, but have a position in them and just wait for a few years. Okay, I mean, we can look at all these short-term moves and dubious speculation, of course, like we always do. And it's fun to do that. But at the end of the day, some of the people that do the best in crypto are the ones that buy it and they forget about it. And the best thing you can do, I think, if you're going to forget about it, is at least make sure you're earning interest. So if you don't want to earn interest with me, that's fine. Go earn interest somewhere else. Just make sure you're earning interest. Because if one day you wake up and Avalanche is trading, say, 5 times higher than the current price, whether that happens next year or the year after that, having the interest would not be a bad thing, okay? So just keep that in mind. Right now, if we were to get a pullback by Bitcoin back to, say, the 20-week, then if we were to go back, normally altcoins would pull back a little bit harder. So that could get us to the prior local tops on the weekly time frame, okay? So if Bitcoin were to go back to, say, 41K or something, then my speculation is that a lot of altcoins are probably going to go back and test their prior all-time highs with regards to, say, like their weekly closes and whatnot. So I would sort of keep an eye out on that level, in the event of a pullback. Look around the $40 level to see if Bitcoin can hold the line. If we switch this over to the daily time frame, we can look at some of these other shorter-term moving averages. Right now, we are, in fact, above the 20-day SMA, but Avalanche is not really respecting it that much. I mean, it sort of respected it here, but then a lot of the altcoins fell below it when Bitcoin had that pullback about a week ago or so. Since then, it's got back above it. If you're curious where the 20-day is, it's now at $46. The 50-day is all the way down at $31. And the 100-day is at 21 or almost 22. And then the 200-day is at 25. So what's interesting is Avalanche is actually relatively far above its 200-day moving average, more than double, actually, its 200-day moving average. Whereas currently with Bitcoin, it's actually below its 200-day moving average. But just slightly, not very much, but it is just slightly below it. In the event of Bitcoin not holding the line at the 20-week, we would expect altcoins to pull back. Okay, so always remember that. That is the risk you take with any of these altcoin projects. But I think that the investor that's looking for the long haul, you just sort of have to treat it like a long-term investment, I think. And eventually, if Bitcoin holds the line here, or if it takes another 3 months to hold the line, I think it's irrelevant for most people. I mean, except for maybe short-term traders. For most people, it should be largely irrelevant. But anyways, I did want to just give a brief update on AVAX. It is putting in new all-time highs as of a day or two ago. It went all the way up to $67. If Bitcoin, it looks like Bitcoin's getting a nice little small pump at the moment. But if Bitcoin, were able to say move back into this region over here, I would speculate that the more likely direction for AVAX is to actually go on a continued rally. Okay, so keep that in mind in the event of a Bitcoin pump back up to, I don't know, like 46, 47, 48K, maybe even 49K or something in the short term. If you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and also remember to stake your Avalanche with the ITC Stake Pool. You can find that at staking.intothe-cryptoverse.com/avalanche, and there's a video on how to do so. Thank you for tuning in. Definitely subscribe, click the bell icon to turn on notifications, and I will see you next time. Bye.